Okay,
Yeah,
wait,
something
wait.
like that.
I think we're live. Oh
We're
no,
live, baby.
no way. I think we're.
Says we're
Something just
live.
popped up that
We're
said this is
Oh,
live. Yeah.
okay,
The content of this webinar is being sent to YouTube.
perfect. All right, let's. This is gonna feed some families. Let's go. You want your note taker on here,
Now you
Spencer?
kick him out. Kick him out of here.
And kicking out. I can't kick it out, so we're just gonna have to leave it.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. All right. Let's dive in. 8:30. Welcome. If you can see us live, here we go. We have 30 men. I feel like that's a long time, but it might be a short amount of time with what we're about to go through. So, quick outline. We just want to introduce Spencer. So, Spencer, if you want to take the floor for just a couple minutes, who are you? Why are we doing this with you tonight? Why did we pick you? What have you accomplished in the past? What have you accomplished this year? What are your goals for the rest of this year? What are your goals for next year? What are your goals for in 10 years from now? Maybe some things that just humanize you to the audience a little bit. And then after that, we're going to go three parts. So it's like a three act, like a movie. So part one, we're going to talk about cash flow investing. So specifically where to put money to make more money faster than just sitting in like a bank account, for example. Then we're going to do part two, profitability. So whether you're a salesperson, a business owner, even if you're just even if you're not 1099 and you're watching this, Austin's gonna show his genius a little bit. And then part three, we're gonna talk about probably the sexiest topic of the night, taxes. Um, the least sexy for sure, but I'm hoping that combination of me, Austin, ChatGPT, we're going to blow your mind a little bit, I think, with some of the ways that you guys can save depending how much money you make, tens of thousands of dollars on taxes. So we're going to do three acts, pound it out. We have 28 more minutes. So, Spencer, why don't you introduce yourself? Just who are you? Give us your story a little bit.
Yeah. So my name's Spencer Campbell. I'm originally from near Austin, Texas, and just recently moved to Lubbock about 7 months ago. And I feel like the reason why I'm on is I joined Alex's Dream Life Academy. I was the second member ever with just tons of money in the bank. I had actually saved up enough money to retire my mom. I don't know if Alex even knows this, but I guess I got my stubbornness from her because she said no and told me to go spend the money. So decided I had seen Alex on Instagram plenty of times and figured if I was going to spend the money, I wanted it to be something that would make me money back. And so I had been looking at houses for about 2 years, but never felt confident enough to pull the trigger. So decided to move to the metropolis of Lubbock, Texas, and got my house for pennies on the dollar compared to Austin. And yeah, I've been a sales rep with Cutco for about 5 years. And I feel like one of the reasons why it might be a good idea that I'm doing this is I've had good sales years in the past, but this past year I haven't done as well as I'd like, just because with buying a house and doing a lot of renovations and I travel a lot. And just through being through the Dream Life Academy has taught me a lot about efficiency, profitability, and then also just making the most of all of the other areas of my life, like my health, my wealth, taxes, credit card hacking, and just remembering that Cutco is the vehicle to where I want to be long term. And I think for a long time, I thought Cutco was the whole puzzle for me. And it's just realizing with this mastermind and this great group of people that it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole puzzle. So, yeah, what I've been able to accomplish the last couple years, I mean, if I were to pull it up on my dreams list, I mean, this year alone, I've been on two cruises. Um, I've been to California, Colorado, oh, not Ohio, Miami. I went on a bachelor party, bought my own house, which is really cool. I've been to Cabo. I was able to play more golf with my dad, which was cool. And then last year did all kinds of stuff. I went to Europe for the first time, went to Italy, Portugal, Spain, went to a comedy show, went to Fenway Park, saw Post Malone in concert. There's a lot of like little dreams that people think are funny, but last year is when I actually got my silver cup, got a Rolex. I ate clam chowder in a bread bowl. That was super sick. And I took my first Pilates class. Super tough for any of the bros out there. It's not as easy as you might think. Took a hot yoga class, got a tattoo, tried Korean barbecue, um, got a membership to Costco. Just a lot of things that I've done in the last couple years that I didn't really think would be dreams on my list, but have been super, super cool the last couple years. And I also picked up snowboarding. I love snowboarding now. Being from Texas, I never thought that because we don't get snow, we just get sleet. So snowboarding's sick too.
Love it. So you are a dreamer. Oh, that's
Sure. And
fire.
then literally right here, like I literally got this vision board that was made not too long ago, and this is like the life that I'm trying to cultivate over the next couple years. So golfing, family, health, eating healthy, spending time with family, and just living life.
Love it. Love it. Okay. And then we got on today. I said at like 4 o'clock, I said we should probably prepare, make sure that this is as fire as we can in 30 minutes. So we got on and Spencer was like, dude, I have no idea how you're gonna I have no idea why you picked me for this. I don't know how you're gonna save me or make me 30K. So this will be good because it'll kind of be, I mean, a little bit just live coaching call, especially the middle part with Austin. So last thing I'll say as we kind of get started is if you have any questions, message me on Instagram. I will try to, while Austin is talking, try to see, grab this phone and pull up my Instagram DMs. And that way, if I miss any questions, you can still get them answered because I'll just answer you after or probably tomorrow. So we have a big Mario Kart tournament going on here tonight after this call. So, all right, let's dive in. Part one, Spencer, here we go. How in the call, just in case you missed it, in case you haven't read the Google Cal invite, we are making Spencer making slash saving. We're putting $30,000 back in his bank account next year in the next 30 minutes through three things. Number one, first thing is cash flow investing. So I have about 7 to 10 minutes to explain this philosophy, but the philosophy of cash flow investing is that if I had to sum it up in a nutshell, and I don't have any notes or outline or anything like that, so I'm going to do my best to just like take a whole bunch of videos on my YouTube. If you guys just go to my YouTube or go to Lifestyle Investor Podcast, look up Justin Donald. That's where a lot of this philosophy comes from. Is that most people, when they think of investing money, they think of putting away dollars and creating these large piles. And at some point in life, you get to spend that pile. And for most people, they think like when I'm 60, I get to finally tap into that. And that's how most people think of money is like over the years of your life, you're going to continue to just save and save and save. And you're going to end up building this like mountain of cash. And then you get to be old enough to where you start to spend this mountain down. And where in Austin, if you have anything to add to this as well, when you talk in a few minutes here, cash flow investing is a little bit different where the concept is you're building yourself a river and you're building yourself maybe many rivers. And what I mean by river is that river is money that is always flowing and you're grabbing pieces of it out of the river all the time. Like it's almost like catching fish. So instead of building a mountain, you're building these rivers. And you guys have probably heard of this before or heard of some of this before, which is like streams of income. Okay. So some streams of income, some rivers are really low return. So a phrase that I want everyone to take home or take to the bank is cash on cash return. Cash on cash return essentially means like what is the percentage of return that you're getting on your dollars every year or every month. So if you put money in a high yield savings account, you're getting 4.5%, I think right now, or 5% high yield. And that's the cash on cash return that you're getting. A really good like or like syndication deal, things like that, they're usually like 8 to 10%, which is like a good investment with your money. If you put your money in the stock market, it totally depends. Right now, if I look up on Google over here really quick, what is the percentage return of S&P 500 this year? It looks like the return is, I should ask ChatGPT instead because it's not really giving me a number. Is it like 10%? Do you guys know? Oh, year to date. I don't know why this is so hard to find. Okay. Oh. All right, somebody drop it in my comments or something like that. But usually stock market is, or what, did you just find it, Austin?
8 to 10% is pretty standard.
Yeah. So yeah, something around like 10% is like a very good, I feel like, common average year. Um oh, the last 12 months, 14.8% from the stock market. So that's where, like, if you just put your money into an index fund, apparently 14% cash on cash return. That's better than most syndications and like most like big league investments. Where what we do in our group is not right away and not for everybody and not every time, but one of the highest returns, one of the highest ROIs for dollars right now, at least, and this is why we do it. This is why I do it myself, is short-term rentals, AKA, which you probably heard like the sexiest word every time I post on Instagram is like investing into Airbnbs. And it sounds so cool, right? And people always say, like, you can get rich quick and passive income, blah, blah, blah with Airbnb. But it's true. And Austin is in a part of Lifestyle Investor. And it really is, it has one of the highest ceilings for your money because it's a lot of work. So when we talk about streams of income, there are investments like an index fund or a super boring real estate deal that you could get a part of, or you can get your 8 to 12% and essentially do nothing. You can just, the money just sits there and it's very passive. And another thing I want to say on this is, and I'm almost wrapping up this part of the call, is that passive income is kind of a myth, just so everyone knows. It's Alex Hormozy said this recently, and I love it. It's how passive is the investment, because it's not a binary, like, okay, now this is passive income, this isn't. There's either a little bit of work involved or there's a lot of work involved. Well, with passive, like with an Airbnb, if you manage it yourself, you're probably sitting like over here. It's probably like 25% passive compared to like your sales job or your business or like going to work. If you have a 9 to 5 job, like when you go to work, that is 100% active pretty much. So an Airbnb, I'd say, is like 25%, maybe. It's right. And if you're like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work, it is. That's why we partner with Dream Rentals, Sebastian. And that would put it, I would say, probably like 60 to 70 to 80% passive. And you get these returns. When I'm talking ROI, you guys remember the stock market, blah, blah, blah. That's like 10, or in the last 12 months, 14%. The Airbnb deals that we're looking at, Spencer, actually, do you have your spreadsheet pulled up?
Yeah.
So this will wrap up this section, but Spencer, if you could maybe share your screen here.
Can you see that?
Yes. Okay. So here's some good deals for everyone if you want to go invest in Lubbock, Texas, and take Spencer's deals.
Yeah, that'd be terrible. But yeah, these are basically like places that I found in Lubbock, Texas. For those that don't know, Lubbock isn't necessarily a booming metropolis of Texas. It's got Texas Tech. That's about it. And so with that being said, there are some Airbnbs in the area, but a lot of them are just they're not as good as they could be. The photos might not be too good. There's not a lot of amenities. So basically, these are places that I found that could turn a good profit, like this house right here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Can you see this? Can you see the Zillow link?
Yep. And if it honestly, Spencer, if you just pause right here. So if everyone sees, like, if this is a house in Lubbock, 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 2,100 a month, and this is someone who's trying to rent their house, they're looking for renters and nobody's renting it. How long has this been on the market? Has it been on there for a while?
32, nothing crazy.
32 days listed by Gary. I can tell you guys right now, Gary's getting antsy as someone renting out 3 different houses right now. It gets Spencer has an empty room at his house. Like, it gets stressful. Like, okay, who's going to call? Who's going to call? And that's where we come in and really solve their problem, which is we'll rent it from you. And when you get it back in a year, it's going to be the best house you've ever seen in your life, because it has to be Dream Rentals standard. So Spencer, if you go back, just to wrap this part up, on your spreadsheet, that one, it said it used 40K profit pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to stop your screen share, here's when we talk about like the cash on cash return of your dollars. If Spencer were to invest into this deal, it's $2,100 a month. So that's like $2,100 upfront. A house like that, I would say probably 3 times rent to get it all set up, and then another $5,000 to add something like a hot tub or like a barrel sauna. So I would say maybe like we'll say, just to be really safe, $12,000 set up to make it really nice. We're talking like a $14,000-15,000 all-in investment from Spencer to return 40K annual. So while we turn it over to Austin, the cash on cash return, let me just ask ChatGPT. If we invest $14,000 into something and it returns 40,000 over the next 12 months, what's the cash on cash return? And ChatGPT says it's analyzing. Austin, anything else to add to this before we turn it over to you?
No, nothing that I'm not going to cover in a moment. But
Okay.
yeah, and for everybody watching, I'll talk about this in a second, but I really encourage you as we're talking throughout today, if the specific situation that we're talking about does not apply to you, think about the principle that is underlaying what we're talking about and how that applies to you, right? So it's not necessarily, not everything we talk about today is going to be 100% applicable for you. Some of it is, some of it isn't. Again, that's kind of the nature of live coaching sessions. But I'll get into that in a second.
185% cash on cash return. And if you're like, oh my gosh, how's that even possible? That doesn't even sound real. I'm so confused. It's because, again, it's not 100% passive, and most people have to work really hard to do that. But we have Dream Rentals, which takes a lot of stress and a lot of work off our plate. So that is, if Spencer did this deal, let's say he got that $40,000 return and he put in $14,000, that's 26,000 in his pocket, 2026. And we're Austin, we need $4,000 from you to hit our 30K goal. But let's see how high we could run this in the next little bit. So Austin, if you want to take over the second part, profitability, how Spencer is running his specific business, which is a sales business. So Austin, if you want to take it away.
Cool. Sounds good. Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Austin Overbillig. I'm a executive district manager with Cutco. I work with Lifestyle Investor. I work in their onboarding department and member fulfillment. And then I also do quite a bit with Dream Life Academy and just having a ball over here with Alex. So a couple sort of quick PSAs for everybody watching here. And while I do this, Spencer, go ahead and pull up your profit and loss. I won't make you screen share, but go ahead and pull up your profit and loss from either this year so far or preferably last year since it was a full year. Couple things to just kind of make notes of for everybody watching. So the first thing is none of this is financial advice, right? That's important and needs to be said. So I mean, you've got to consult everything that you hear anywhere with your accountant and your tax people and sort of your crew and who you work with. That's important and has to be said. The second thing is I just want to appreciate Spencer for opening up, his life and his numbers. And I think money can be a very taboo topic. But the more you talk about money with people that you work with and sort of work in the same industry as and things like this, actually what that does is just create more opportunity for everybody around you and you yourself. Because it creates transparency. And so I'm a huge fan of income transparency. And so I just want to, that being said, it's a scary thing to do. So I want to appreciate you, Spencer, for being willing to do that. And then the third thing, and I talked about this earlier, but not all of this is going to apply to everybody. So my main priority here is to satisfy the sort of requirements of what it means to coach, which is I'm going to say some things that are specific to Spencer and Spencer's business. They might apply to you, they might not apply to you. And then after I talk about that, I'll talk about the underlying principles that kind of drive how I think about profit, both in the Cutco business and just in any business in general. So just keep that in mind there. Spencer, do you have profit and loss pulled up from 2024? And you can just stay unmuted.
I have it for this year. I'm trying to figure out how to do it for next year.
Okay, cool. You can just go to Vector Connect, financial, profit and loss, and then click to 2024. So I can show you how to do that in a second. But Um, a quick sort of note to everybody listening. So often people think about profit in terms of I need to either well most of the time people say that I need to make more, right? I need to make more money. I need to profit more. It's sort of a more mentality. And not very often are people looking at it from the perspective of, depending on the industry, I need to spend less, right? But profit can come from two places. So profit is going to come from earning dollars that you are not currently earning. So a skill set standpoint. So increasing your skills, your systems, your infrastructure, however you're managing it. Or the second thing is spending less, which is typically a problem of awareness. If you're spending more than you should, you're probably just not aware of how much you're truly spending. And this is why I'm an advocate of tracking everything, right? It's the same thing with eating. If you're not tracking what you eat, you're probably eating way more than you think you're eating. If you're not tracking, how much you work out, you're probably working out less than you think you are. So it's sort of all these aspects in our life, you have to track them, or you're probably doing less of them or less good of a job than you think you're doing, right? So that's where your primary profit drivers are going to be awareness around how much am I spending? Should I spend less? The answer is probably yes. And where do I need to make more or skill up so that I can increase my profit without increasing expenses? Because most expenses, especially in the Cutco business, are fixed expenses, meaning they're capped. If you make more above that number, you get to keep every percentage above the profit number after satisfying those expenses. So that being said, Spencer, let's talk about profit for you, right? So specifically for Cutco reps, right? I work with a lot of Cutco reps in the Cutco business, both at the FSM level, the CSP level. And when I think about profit, for those that are not with Cutco, Cutco reps at the highest level make 50%, right? So a lot of them assume, okay, I'm just going to keep 50% of my income. They may think about taxes, but they don't think about all the associated business expenses. So, in my experience, a healthy profit for a Cutco sales professional is going to be in the 36 to 41% range, right? So, if you're earning between 36 and 41% after expenses, you're in a good spot. You have a healthy profitability. Now, Spencer, this is where we get to the scary part and the part that I was thanking you for earlier. Do you know what your profit percent was after expenses, either year to date this year or for last year? Do you have that number?
Yeah, for last year, the savings rate in the amount that I kept was 21.5%.
Okay. So savings rate is a little bit different than profit because profit assumes we're also spending money on things that are discretionary and or not savings. So was that your savings rate or your profit?
I'm trying to pull it up on Vector Connect, but it says that the systems are currently down.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Right when we do a
I'm
webinar.
like, perfect.
Yeah. So do you know what did you sell last year?
144.
Okay, so 144 last year, and you said your savings rate was 21%. We can take that as a profit number. So typically, for someone in your position, the largest drivers of expenses are going to be taxes, show fees, paying for events, and then associated marketing, right? So from a tax perspective, one very simple thing, and this can probably save you at least $4,000 depending on how much you're going to sell this year, is writing off your bonus points. So the product that you're giving for free, that you are choosing to give for free to your clients, that you do not have to give for free, is something that can be written off. Again, you have to talk to your accountant if you're listening to this, but it's something I recommend. Okay. So if you had, let's say, 280 orders last year and your average bonus points per order, right? If you're not in the Cutco world, you're like, what is he talking about right now? But if you are, this will make sense. So 280 orders, does that sound high or low? Or do you know?
High
High? Okay. 225, that would be a $750 average order.
for last year. Yeah, that seems about right. Maybe like 215.
Okay, so we'll say 215. A lot of numbers being thrown out right now. Alex is usually a pretty good note taker. So 215 orders. Okay, if you have an average bonus point, Spencer, probably you're somewhere between 40 and 80 points per order. You can just take that number, meet in the middle, 65, 215 orders. That's 14,000 points worth of product that you gave away that you didn't have to. That was a choice. Okay. And so your commission level is 50%. You write off 50% of that as gifted product. That's $6,900 write-off. So I don't know what you paid in taxes, but that's very, very near a $7,000 expense write-off. I don't know how that affects your taxes without taking a look at your 1099 and things of that nature, but that's the first big one, right? It's taking a look at our taxes. That's an example of tax liability. There's usually quite a few other places. Are you presently writing off your bonus points in your expensed product?
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, well, now you do. Okay. So make sure that you're keeping, track of how many orders am I writing up per year? What's my average bonus points per order? Discussing that with your accountant. Every accountant is going to have a different tolerance level. One of my great mentors who was my accountant for a number of years before they moved on to another business said, there's rules you can bend, there's rules you can break, and then there's rules you have to follow in regard to the IRS. And so you got to have a good accountant. You got to have a good tax person that knows those things. And I'm not going to speak to that because I'm not an accountant. So that's the first one. The second place where I think a lot of reps, especially in the Cutco world, make mistakes or don't think about the profit is leveraging higher profit aspects of the business. So not all profit is created equal. And Spencer, you and I have talked about this at length in some of our other coaching calls. So events and the events program as a whole is going to be your most expensive CPO, right? That means it costs the most to get. We have to pay to get there. We have to pay booth storage fees. We have to pay for the event itself. So we have to pay for all those things. And so, generally speaking, when I sit down and meet with a rep, I look at what is your slices of your pie that you're getting overall in the year. So if you sell 200K, how much of that 200,000 is coming from service calls, which are going to be damn near 100% profit, right? Damn near 50% commission because there's not a lot of expenses related there, mostly gas. So do you know your split, Spencer, of how much am I getting from events? How much am I getting from service calls? And then the most profitable sector is going to be virtual demos, right? Which I think demos are coming back. Christian can speak to this. Okay, so do you know your split? Do you know where your business is coming from?
In regards to last year,
Yeah.
I would probably say 60/40, 60 being events, 40 being appointments.
Okay, cool. Now, of those appointments, it's 40%. How much is that as service calls versus demos?
I'd probably say 25%.
Okay, so your highest leverage, meaning highest profit activities, are going to be business gifts, service calls, and demos, right? Your lowest profit activity is going to be events. So 60% of your income is your lowest profit income. Now, that being said, events are 100% necessary to keep the engine alive. You've got to get service calls, you got to continue to generate new leads. That happens from events, right? So what it is it's taking a look at on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis or whatever time frame you have, taking a look at, am I over leveraging any of the most expensive factors, any of the most expensive slices of the pie? Am I over leveraging events? Am I working events that are not paying for themselves? And am I measuring the key metrics of the business? So when you do an event, are you measuring the cost of the event plus how many service calls you collect plus your profit per service call lead collected, right? Again, if you don't track it, you're not going to be aware of it. And you and I have had coaching calls in the past where you say, well, I lost money on the event. And I said, well, how many service calls did you collect? And you say, I collected 14, right? So again, no matter what business you're in, you have to break it down to the smallest building block numbers and say, okay, 14 service calls, I create 275 CPO, which for me at my profit is 130 in profit per service call collected. Does that make sense? You tracking, Spencer?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And again, if you're not in the Cutco world right now, you're completely lost. You might be lost even if you're in the Cutco world. What I hope you're getting from this right now, if you're listening and watching, is I am woefully unaware of the numbers I need to be aware of. And or if you are aware, you're not tracking it and implementing it into your business in the way that you need to, right? So I guess I'll pause there, Spencer. Any questions? Because a lot of this you and I have talked about before, just in the taxes with bonus points and being a little bit more efficient with your service call program and focusing on a direct scheduling program. I'm gonna assume that that's quite a bit more than 4,000 based on your business. Again, it's gonna be different for everybody's business, but I don't know what you paid in taxes last year. So
I don't even know either. It probably wasn't a lot. My mom's my accountant, so I'm really lucky. She
good,
does all the work, and I just beg her to submit it.
good. So any questions on that or takeaways. I have a couple of things that I want to cover for everybody watching that are kind of this driving systems behind that. But again, this is the part for you specifically, Spencer.
Yeah, I would say, I've been in the business for 5 years, but I'm also in a new location. So the types of events that I'm working are changing. And
Sure.
typically, when you work an event for the first time, it's not going to be as good as if you were to cultivate it year after year after year. So, I mean, at what point do you know whether it's worth the grind of working an event rather than just doing service calls or just leaving it off your calendar?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm very data driven. So anytime you have an opportunity in any business or any control over your business, and by the way, that's a great question to ask yourself before you get a new job, is what level of control do I have over my income? Whether it's Cutco, pest control, solar, maybe it's not even sales. It's what level of control do I have over my income? If the answer is not very much control, other than picking the job you get and the salary you get, that's a dangerous job if you bring a lot to the table. Dangerous from the standpoint that you are almost guaranteed to be underpaid if you know that you bring a lot to the job. So, from that standpoint, to answer your question directly, Spencer, you look at the data. You do as best as you can, look at previous years, you pull up Eventalytics, you apply your averages to the number of orders that were produced last year, and typically, I like to introduce a an outlier effect, right? So if it produced 11 orders last year and it produced 13 orders the previous year, right? I'm going to take that total, I'm going to average it, and then I'm going to multiply it by zero point 0.8. And I'm going to assume that the show is going to perform 20% worse than it did over the previous 2 or 3 year average to be really conservative in my estimation about profit and whether or not I should do that show. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then you're also taking into account how many service calls you're going to collect, what's your CPO per service call collected, and you're gonna map that out and you're gonna say, does that add up? And I think you remember doing this. I remember you and I had a call in February or March, and you had a goal of I want to make this much, and then we broke it down, and it was about half that, right? And this is why the metrics and the data are important, right? You probably remember that call. So for everybody watching, again, I think the underlying principles are the most important here. So I think just to rattle them off here, I know we're a little over on time, Alex, but do I have a couple minutes here? You're muted.
You're muted.
The tax part will take me like 2 minutes because we're actually using ChatGPT in the tax playbook, so it won't even
I
be
love
that.
it. So I'm glad I didn't dive too much into that. So the first thing I'd say for everybody is profit is a system, not a result. So a lot of people think of profit as a result of here's what I do, here's my infrastructure. It's a system, not a result. And what I mean by that is it's not the leftovers. Most people treat profit like leftovers, but you want to design profit into your system. So if you don't bake profit into how you price your product, if you have control over that, right? In Cutco, we don't. We have control of how much free stuff we give, what kind of value we create, but we do have control over the structure and how we operate, right? What percentage of events do you do? What percentage of your, money comes from service calls or demos, right? You're always going to chase it instead of guaranteeing it. So design it into your system. That's number one. Number two is margins are more powerful and more important than sales. And what I mean by that is for most businesses, a 5% increase in profit is going to add more money to the bottom line than a 20% bump in sales, in top line revenue sales. And so if you just try to scale, but you have bad margins, that's just going to multiply inefficiency, right? That's why you have Cutco reps in the Cutco world that are selling six, seven, $800,000, but they're doing it at 15% profit because they're not focused on making sure that the profit systems are there. And net net, yes, they're making more money than a rep selling 100K a year, 200K a year, but they're not making as much as they could at that level, right? Which is essentially a choice. And if you make that choice and you know you're making that choice, that's okay. But some don't. They don't know they're making that. So the third thing is profit loves simplicity. I've talked to Alex about this a lot. I've talked to Spencer about this, right? Complexity kills profit, especially complexity in your systems. So the more moving pieces you have, subscriptions, tech, overhead, VAs, assistants, the harder it is to stay lean. And Alex can probably speak to this. I like simple balance sheets and I like making sure that there's not an overbloated system behind the sales engine, right? So if you find yourself in a point where you're paying for sales or paying for CPO, and it's costing you more than it's making you, That's obviously a suboptimal situation, right? So keep it as simple as you can. Um, Second to last one here, I'd say is profit is a mindset, not math, not just math. It's obviously, of course, math and spreadsheets, but most people, again, they think of profit as something that comes later after growth. I'm going to grow to a certain point, then I'll worry about profit. And that's backwards. You've got to worry about profit more than ever when you're brand new and when you're building, because you are not ever going to get to that point where you say, okay, now I can get more profitable. Now I can get more efficient. It's kind of like saying, I'll get to that project later when I get less busy. I just turned 30. I'm still waiting to get less busy than I was when I was 28, which was less busy than I was when I was 26. Like it's just not happening. You just get more busy every day that you're on this planet, and that's just kind of how it works, right? And then the last thing I'd say is not all revenue is equal revenue, right? And again, you've got to be tracking what's my profit percent per layer of my business. So what's my profit percent with my service calls? What's my profit percent with my shows? And I remember Spencer, when you and I sat down for one of our first calls, I think you basically were underutilizing service calls. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Right. So the most profitable aspect of your business, you were just you just weren't doing it because you didn't know how profitable it was, and you've started to introduce those into your business now that you kind of see that. And so it all kind of balances out. But those are probably the biggest five or six underlying principles that apply to the short few things that we were able to talk about today, Spencer, and plus a little extra. So again, to put a bow on it, it's about spending less, sure, but it's also about earning money that you're not earning. It's both, right? It's not one or the other, and most people attack it in a binodal way where it's like they're going to choose this or they're going to choose that. You got to do both. So um, this is 30 minutes is both an eternity and not in the
Okay,
world.
hey Austin, this is great, Austin. So for anyone that doesn't know, Austin is a partner coach, aka COO, CFO, everything that I'm not for Dream Life Academy. So he's the brains. I just have ideas. But Austin helps everyone with profit already. So Spencer, it last year your profit for pure profit after everything 21.4%. How much do you think you'll finish this year at in sales? And pick a number that you have to, it's public accountability, so then you have to go do it.
Yeah, 150. So finish the year at 150.
Okay, so you're gonna finish this year at 150. Next year, you're trying to sell 400. Um, okay, so next year, if you sell 400K, 21.4% of that, okay, would be 85.6K at last year's profit percentage. So this is how much he would make if he ran the business the same way as he ran it last year. Now, with everything Austin is talking about right now that him and you are already implementing, what profit percentage do you see yourself being at next year? Or what's your goal?
I can
Could at
speak.
least be it. Oh, go ahead, Austin.
I'm curious what number you say, but I know your numbers fairly well, and I know what you're pacing at, and I know where your holes are. So you tell me what number you think, because I've got five CSPs in my office, and none of them are below 35%. Average is 36.8.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say I play it pretty conservative. I was gonna say like 35, 37%.
I
It,
like that.
let's just pretend that Austin can get Spencer to the exact same profit percentage that he has his own people at. That would mean that you keep an extra by running the business in a way that Austin can help you run it. That would mean that you keep after everything next year, you keep 147K, aka you're keeping an extra. Let's minus that 85,600. You're keeping your extra $61,600 in your pocket. Okay, so that makes our thermometer get a little bit high there. Okay.
And I want to emphasize like this for everybody watching, this is not magic money. This is just running your business more efficiently. This is not burning money. This is getting better with taxes. Like this is not just sort of magically creating money out of thin air. It's money that always existed that you were leaving on the table. That's what it is.
And as someone who ran terrible profit margins for too many years and paid Austin out of my pocket for a couple of years to just help me dial this in, is real numbers. Austin helped me shave almost $80,000 of business expenses, just from a couple calls. So, all right, last one is taxes. Now, Spencer, I already, and everyone watching, we're going to wrap this up right now because I'm pulling in Chat GPT and I already have, let's see, there we go. So I put into Chat GPT our DLA tax playbook. So I said, we are live right now with Spencer Campbell. I want a very clean and simple answer based on all the tools in the mastermind playbook. How much money can we save him? AKA, how much money can we put back in his pocket next year? Context, he bought a house this year. Spencer, is it worth 280, bought at 220? Do I have that right?
I think it went down a little bit more. Now it's like 260.
Now it's 260. So by buying that house, his net worth has now gone up only 40K. He will next year he will sell 400, assuming you actually go sell 400,000. And
now I have to, just because you said that.
This next year he will shoot for a 35.6% profit percentage. So use that to figure out his expenses. Go to work, chat. Thank you. Double check your work and don't mess this up. We are live. Smiley face. Okay. While that cooks, ChatGPT is just going to cook for a second. I just want to wrap this call up. And I just want to say, like Austin said, none of this is Fugazi. Like, this is legitimate. These are legitimate numbers. I'm very curious and excited to see what ChatGPT is about to cook on the tax side of things. But I just want to hammer home a couple last final points. If you're confused at all, perfect. That means you're learning. I'm like the type of person when I don't understand something, I get super pissed off. Like I just get really frustrated. And one of my really good mentors, he always says, every time I get frustrated, he has a lot of patience with me because we've been working together for a long time. But he says, hey, Alex, you're about to learn something. Like you're about to have a breakthrough. And I think if you're on here right now and you're like, this is all going over my head, I don't even know what they're talking about. Especially if you're in sales, especially if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, we're talking about teacher salary and up from each bucket each year. And when I have been putting up stories for the last month of like, we're running this call, we're giving everything away, I'm not holding anything back. And I see some of the people who view the stories on Instagram that are selling so much in their industries and they're not on the call. I'm like, just a couple tweaks, you're literally leaving $50,000 to $100,000 on the table by not just implementing these things. And a lot of times not implementing is just because you just don't know, you're not aware. And then even if you are aware, it's just very confusing. And that's why I think having mentors, having community of people that are implementing is so valuable and so important. So that's all I have to say on that. I don't have a big call to action or anything, but if you're confused at all, if you have questions, reach out to me on Instagram at Unlock with Alex, and would love to help you make and save so much money, like Spencer's about to. Austin, ChatGPT is still cooking over here on the tax savings. Any last thoughts as it finishes up?
Yeah, I would say from a tax perspective, there's so many resources out there. So work with your accountant. The way that I use, you got to be careful with AI and kind of how you use it. But the way that I use it is from a tax perspective is take what my accountant gives me, take my database of tax saving information that is a mix of things I've paid for, things I have access to through the connections I have, kind of put that all in one place, put that into ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or your chosen AI, upload a copy of your 1099 without your social security on it. And then basically just say, hey, where are my opportunities? Here's my list of expenses. Here's my 1099. Here's my tax playbook. And start working on your tax playbook. And then just have it make an action list that you can just send to your accountant, because an accountant is much different than a tax strategist. Those are two separate things. An accountant files and prepares taxes. A tax strategist says, hey, here's where you want to be in 5 years. How do we need to play your taxes so that you can be there? structure your entities properly and really make sure you're set up the best you can be to be in the position you want 5, 10 years from now. So, a tax strategist is expensive, but the good thing is many of us have access to very capable, AI systems and things of that nature that can't totally replace that, but they can get more than 50% and certainly better than you can. So that's what I'd say from a tax perspective.
All right, here we go. We got the number. ChatGPT is wrapping this up. I know we're a little late. If you stuck around, if you're still watching this, congratulations. You're probably going to be super rich someday. Again, Austin said this. I always forget to say this is not financial advice. I'm thinking about getting a financial planning degree or something so I can actually say it is financial advice. But here we go. ChatGPT says, thought for 3 minutes and 18 seconds, yada, 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 yada. Say this: with DLA's playbook, we can conservatively put $21,000 back in Spencer's pocket federally, and with aggressive, well-documented write-offs, push that to $23,000 to $25,000. State taxes adds more. I know because of the Micah Parsons situation that Texas doesn't have income tax or something like that. I was trying to keep up with. What's the deal there, Spencer? I don't know.
I don't care. I hate the Cowboys. They can get
Okay.
all they want.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go with that number, 23,000 right there. So there's another 23,000 back in Spencer's pocket using the DLA tax playbook potentially. And that brings our grand total. We said we were gonna make or save him $30,000. It looks like our grand total of the night is 23,000 plus 26,000 plus 61,000. And I know Spencer, there maybe are some people watching that are like, yep, you guys totally lost me. This is a grand total of $110,600 back in your bank account / pocket for 2026. It sounds fake. It doesn't even sound real. Spencer, you've been in the group for 8 months. You've been around this language, learning the language of money for a long time now. You get to be on great group calls every week. Like, the question is, do you see how this is possible? Or like, what are your thoughts when you say that number? And if you just want to wrap us up.
Yeah, 100%. I would say same thing that Alex said. I think sometimes when I get information overload, I just get pissed. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Like, I'm not doing this. This is way too much. I don't get it. And it's just like you said, it's just all about learning the language. And I know it might seem like a lot at once, but when you take it step by step, I mean, by the end of the call, I mean, $110,000 saved should tell you all you need to know. So I'm looking at this, and I'm like, hell yeah, I could do a lot with the $110,000. That's more B&Bs, that's more credit card points, that's more vacations, that's more snowboarding trips. So I'm super stoked. And although it might not be a language that you're used to, trust me, I was in the same boat. That was why I approached Alex, and you know, it's crazy. I think I've been with DLA for 10 months. And so it's crazy to see what's going to happen 9 months, 10 months.
Dude. All right. Austin, any last thoughts? Otherwise, that's it.
No, I would just again, for everybody watching, that $110,000 assumes that Spencer starts running a more efficient business. That assumes he gets a property. That assumes he gets dialed in with his taxes and is using the DLA playbook that we give him access to, right? So when you look at that number, there's actual things that need to happen to create that number. And that is still up to Spencer. So I don't want you guys watching to think, if I just learn this stuff, I'm going to magically make and save more money. You have to do stuff, right? Just like my stepdad growing up, he said, if you want to get girls, you got to get up and do stuff. You got to go and do stuff. And I apply that philosophy to everything, right? You want to go make more money, you got to get up and do stuff. So again, it's not magic money. It's money as a result of running his life more efficiently, and getting dialed in with taxes and adding cash flowing assets. That's where it comes from.
Sweet. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I know we're over on time by now, 20 minutes, but if you're still here, awesome. If you watch the recording at any point in the future, awesome. And if you ever have any questions on this or anything else, don't be afraid to hit me up. And there's never a hard sell with our mastermind. There's just when I get really excited about the right people, I just get a little too excited, and Austin helps with the financial filter of it. So, all right, everyone, have a great night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, and thank you again, Spencer, for the transparency and putting your numbers out there on the table. It's very vulnerable, very
Right.
awesome.
It's more
So
accountability. I'll be a millionaire in 2 years. We'll get it going.
fire. All right, Phil.